Let's compare these core themes with some contributed themes. So I downloaded 3, Zen, Bartik, and Fusion, and I put them in our sites directory. So I'm going to go ahead and expand sites, all, themes, and then let's go ahead and open up Zen first. Zen has a pretty interesting CSS file structure. Go ahead and expand Zen internals here, and CSS inside of that. Now, in contrast to the previous themes that we looked at, Zen has quite a few CSS files. Now, these are separated out granularly into particular tasks. So you see there's blocks, comments, fields, forms, HTML reset, Internet Explorer, layout fixed and layout liquid. They have navigation, nodes, page backgrounds and pages. So this is split up into a couple of items here. Print, which we've seen before. Tabs, which are a specific task-oriented item. Views styles, specific to the views module. And wireframes, which is specific to Zen as a utility tool. So let's go ahead and open up a couple of these and take a look at how it's structured on the inside. I'm opening up blocks.css. Now, the first thing you might notice here is that there is a marked absence of properties. So you see we have block first, but there's nothing inside it. Block last, also empty. Block odd, which is also empty. There's a few things going on here. First of all, each style has a comment. So you see that this block item here has a comment of block wrapper. Block first says the first block in the region. Now, if we're working with plain styles, they can be a little bit esoteric. We don't know exactly what they're for. Block first, it makes sense that it's a first block, but you don't know if it's the first block of the page or of the region, and this specifies specifically that it's part of the region. And as you work down here, you get a description of each class that's available to you to use. It even goes so far as to put in pseudo classes that aren't actually, or pseudo IDs in this case, since it begins with a hashtag, that aren't actually classes, but are example of class names that you'll see used inside of the theme. So this is a custom menu block. So we know exactly the structure that we should follow if we're going to add classes to something. So this is a great learning tool. You get a sense of what classes are available, and this also has the added benefit of when you use Firebug inside of Firefox to troubleshoot your theme, you can see these styles and work with them in the Firebug dialog that allows you to modify styles. So you can actively change the theming or the CSS theming of your page right in line without having to define a style separately in your style sheet. Now, if you don't know quite what that means, that's okay. As you begin to work with themes, that will come into play. But if you do know what that means, then you know that this is a pretty useful tool. It means, however, that we have a lot of styles that are defined, and that can be a little bit dirty, a little bit too much if you're not in that learning process. And so that's why there are other themes that are available, specifically Basic, which is an offshoot of Zen, that strips these down so that you don't necessarily have all this helper text if you're already used to it and you already know what you're looking for. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple other CSS files in the Zen theme. I'm going to jump back to the folder. Let's go ahead and open up comments. You see here we have a similar structure. There are a couple of styles being defined that are specific to comments. So these style sheets do provide a way to divide up the styles according to particular tasks. But they're also creating styles around things that aren't actually being styled yet. So we have comment preview, a background color here. And then comment new, comment first, comment last, and so on. As you scroll down, you see each of the styles being explained. There's even styles inside of styles for more specific styling of elements. I'm going to jump back to the style directory. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more, this HTML reset.css. Okay, this is kind of an interesting one because there's a lot of comments here. And the author states at the top that this isn't a typical HTML reset file. This isn't something that's based on a reset tool out there. Instead, it's places where we're setting default styling for HTML elements. So, important to read the comments in this one. This file is also a great learning tool because there's explanations as to why we're using various properties for particular elements. So for example, it says for the fonts that we're defining our fonts based on these particular articles. There's some information there about why we're using this styling. If we scroll down, it says that we're using a 12 pixel font on the page and we're removing the 14 pixel declarations, and then it explains how to set the 12 pixels as well, so we can change it according to these comments here. And as you read through, you can learn a lot about styling if you're new to CSS or want a few extra tricks by simply working through the comments and reading about the rationale behind each one and how you can change them to change the look of this particular theme.